kind of, what can you say to Frank to help with his particular issue?
Well, the Liberal platform is very clear on this. Our platform insists that we are going to increase the GIS for all seniors. And my opponent, who he apparently supports, his plan will only increase GIS for 6% of seniors. So that's not a solution to this problem. So besides augmenting what our seniors get to help them get out of or away from the poverty line, we're going to make sure that the CPP is healthy and robust. We're going to allow for a parallel savings plan to go alongside of that, so that when you want to, you can opt into that and increase your savings, increase your nest egg at the end of the day. But what we're also going to do for seniors is the family care plan, which allows for a family member to take care of an aging or ill family member, take time off work, paid leave, in order to take care of them. And that's a huge cost saving, and it's a huge load off of their mind as well, to know that they have the security that their son or daughter doesn't have to risk their job in order to come and take care of me. That's something we're going to make sure our seniors have.
Adriana Magnato Hamu, how could you address Frank's issues? He isn't, he's got a meager pension. He's clearly not got enough money really to live on properly.
It's interesting that when he started speaking, I was kind of surprised that he endorsed the NDP, because I've met voters just like him, like hundreds of them, and they say, we're so fed up, we're not going to vote for anybody. We hate everybody because they're all crooks, and Jack Layton is our representative and he's a crook. So I think people are just disgusted with government, and like I said, seniors making ends meet has been a problem, and I mentioned that as the first thing. That's kind of top. So it is a big issue for me, and it's something that I really treat as very, very important. So in addition to the benefits that I talked about before, when Andrew talked about taking care of people, one of the things that the Green Party brings is income splitting for families, and we do want to expand it so that it isn't just for married couples with children, as the Conservative government proposes. We would bring it in for families that have an adult child living at home, taking care of a senior and that. And eventually what we want to have really work for is guaranteed annual income, so that people have a guaranteed income no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're looking for.
Here's Anders on the line. Anders, do you have a question for the candidates?
Yeah, I have a question for the candidates. I don't know if they're aware of the fact that Toronto Danforth has one of the highest unemployment rates with people under the age of 35. Mm-hmm. I know that the average is 7.2, but if you put into account the under 35 age demographic, it's around 12%. What is Andrew Lang's party's strategy for incorporating the postgraduate demographic into the job environment? Because I am 3 years postgraduate and I still don't have a job in the field that I was educated for. This creates poverty amongst seniors because parents are still being parents, and you have several generations living in one home and nothing's being adjusted.
All right, Anders, thanks very much for that. Post-grad jobs, Andrew Lang. Anders wants to direct that to you. I'll get the other two candidates to reply as well, but you go ahead, please.
Well, it's a great question. Right now in Canada, we have a high unemployment rate, and we also have structural labor shortages. And so what the Liberal plan is going to be doing, it doesn't necessarily fit for Anders immediately, but what we are going to do is we're going to lower tax rates for small and medium-sized businesses. They are the single largest employer in Canada. We're going to make sure that they have the incentives to hire, to expand, and to produce. And that's when the jobs, the immediate jobs for our graduates will come from. But for the next level, the next tranche of young people coming up, we need to make sure that they're getting the training they need so that we can get rid of the unemployment by training and educating our young people where we have those labor shortages. And that's part of the Liberal plan.
But I mean, Andrew's point, I think, is they are trained, they are educated, they still can't find a job.
Well, that's the single largest employer in the country, are small and medium-sized businesses.
Yeah.
And instead of giving a massive tax cut to the big corporations, we are going to, where they've already proven no hiring is going to be accrued from that. Mm-hmm. We give it to the people that actually do the hiring in this country, and those are the SMEs. And when we make it easier for them to hire, incent them to hire, the jobs will come.
All right. Marie Crawford, what about Anders? You can hear his difficulty. Post-grad job, he just hasn't been able to find. He's been 3 years out of school.
Sure. I think that our education system should be completely different. I respect where he has, and that's too bad. I think that we've led people down the wrong path in terms of what types of jobs people are even looking for, allowed to have. I think there aren't enough artists who are able to exercise their creativity in all facets, whether it's music, whether it's actual art, whether it's creating things out of all of our renewable spaces that we can be using. I think our entire education system is flawed. We need a completely quantum shift way of looking at.
I don't think Anders wants to go back to school. I think he wants a job.
I think it's a shame, but at the end of the day, we are looking at. People have to look at a new way of living, of giving, of
Yeah, but you
learning.
keep saying that, but the point is people need something for the todays and the tomorrows and the next weeks
tomorrows aren't going to
and
be
the next
here
months.
if we keep going the way that we're going. If the education system were shifted so that those people could exercise what they really want to do, as opposed to being said, well, here's your short, limited, ways of living. Here's some.
Well, I think you're making a lot of assumptions about Anders. Maybe he went to a perfectly good school, got a perfectly good
Sure,
education,
and
still can't find that perfectly good job in his
But
field.
I think we're still not thinking about the next 7 generations ahead of us, and
Okay.
I think we need to start looking at that right now.
Adriana Benyado Hamu, how would you treat Anders' situation?
I wanted to echo what he said. It's something I hear at the door too, and it's poignant because it's a lot of seniors who can't make ends meet, and they're concerned actually even more when I ask them, so what's your biggest concern? Their concern is their grandchildren who don't have a job.
Who don't have the job, yeah.
So I treat this very, very seriously, and I'm very happy with the Green Party platform. I love the Liberal education platform, but it doesn't
Are you allowed
address-
to do that? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, I'm allowed
love
to. I think they have an
Oh,
excellent
okay,
education
fine.
platform.
I love her environmental platform.
But
well,
yeah,
there you
but
go.
see, there you
okay.
go. But
you
the
see, now
thing
that's
is-
the kind of cooperation between parties that we like to see, isn't
Yes,
it?
and that's
All
what I'd like to see in Parliament. So I like to recognize when something's good. I
right.
am concerned, though, exactly because education doesn't seem to always lead to jobs. We have a lot of super educated youth who aren't getting those jobs. So what we're offering is municipal youth employment program of $1 billion. So that's to invest in future growth, future jobs, and redoing municipal infrastructure. We also have, oh my gosh, reduction in employment taxes of $23 billion a year. So again, that's hopefully going to spur a
How
lot
can
of...
you boil that down so an individual business owner could understand what that really means?
Yeah, I know it's hard. I know it's
It
hard.
doesn't mean, it doesn't mean anything to somebody in the corner store.
Well,
$23
it
billion.
does. It does. And the other thing that
Well, it doesn't because they don't know what it's going to mean to their business, is my point. Do you know how that breaks down?
It breaks down so that it's less expensive to hire new people. The other thing we want to do is to lower the work week to 35 hours. So that frees up. It means that people work less, they have more time to spend with their families, and it frees up some employment space for new people.
Okay, all right, okay. Thank you all very much for that. What about health care? All parties, as far as I can tell, have pretty well committed to the 6% increments after 2014, when the current agreement between the provinces and the federal government expires. But I think we also know that if we go on and spend that much increasingly year by year by year, it won't be long before we bankrupt the healthcare system, at least the way it's organized now.
Right.
Got any thoughts on that, Adriana?
What we're attacking first and foremost is drugs. We have a pharmaceutical plan, and we're trying to keep it economical by having a federal buy of pharmaceuticals, and also to try to eliminate some of the drugs that aren't actually helping us. Viagra is the big one that everybody's familiar with, where it actually causes more deaths.
It causes what?
It
sorry?
causes deaths. People die.
Yeah.
So we wonder, why would we be paying for it? But a national pharmaceutical strategy, that's the biggest growth in healthcare costs is there. But we also recognize that we also need more doctors. And the crazy thing is we have many, many, many qualified doctors from other countries, and we're not recognizing their qualifications. So that's another tactic that we need to.
Andrew Lang, how would you attack some of those problems?
Well, the problem with our system, it's not really a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. So we wait until somebody's ill and we try to take care of them instead of trying to keep them healthy. And we need to address those issues. We need to work with all citizens, all provinces, all jurisdictions to make sure that people are eating correctly, exercising more, that the food strategy that we have really encourages proper eating habits. We want to keep them out of the doctor's office. And if we do all this, if everybody gets on board, the cost of our health system will go down. Nobody disagrees with that fact.
I agree. We're big on preventative health.
Well, I think everybody talks preventative health. It doesn't seem to, I guess we're not serious enough about it as a society or as a government to actually make it happen. What about health care?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Andrew. Of course, it starts with prevention.
Yeah.
And if healthcare were used for those scenarios where they're unpreventable injuries or illnesses that have happened, then there probably would be enough to go around, and some money should be put aside to aggressive prevention campaigns and getting and absolutely legislating some of the worst products that go into our food supply. A lot of the preservatives, all the trans fats. It's happened in Europe, it's happened even in some parts of the States where they're literally banning some of the bad things that go into food, and that's definitely one thing that we can do. Healthier, happier, fitness, exercise, all should be encouraged.
All right, okay. Here's Gabriel on the line now. Gabriel, what's your question for the candidates?
Okay, my question is this. I understand that the parties, nobody is talking about the taking any stand on the abortion issue, and everybody says that the woman has the right to decide what she wants to do. And I'm glad that there are a lot of people today who are doing things to help other people, and their mothers did not abort them. And pregnancy is not a disease, but there are so many diseases that we are trying to.
All right, Gabriel,
yes.
Can you boil this into a question that the candidates can actually answer?
Okay, since pregnancy is not a disease, and a lot of money is spent on abortion, and since there are a lot of things like eye care problems that people can't afford to pay for them, as well as dental, why don't they let those who want to have abortion pay for it and take that money and put into health care like dental care and eye care?
Anybody who wants an abortion pays for it themselves? Is that what you're saying? Is that your question?
Exactly.
All right, okay. That's Gabriel's question. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I think that our party would be in support of a woman's choice, and in fact, a lot of the time
not at the expense of the woman, as Gabriel
yes,
is
because
suggesting.
really, what we understand is that a lot of situations are not. It's a very, very hard decision to make, and so they need help, and we're there for them.
Andrew Lang, your thoughts on Gabriel's question?
I don't think we get to pick and choose which medical services we pay for and don't pay for. And if this is part of our system, then it has to be paid for by the public purse. And that way we can ensure that it's done safely as well. And that would be the worst result of Gabriel's solution, is that you'd get some pretty shoddy things going on out there.
Adriana Manyatu-Hamu, how would you answer Gabriel?
We support the woman's right to choose. We support enhancing choices, so making it easier for women to make choices, because some women are driven to have abortions.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, I'm only a few feet away from you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Some women choose to have an abortion because they're concerned with financial issues. So we want to make sure that women are making choices given a breadth of options. However, we support the woman's right to abortion when she wants one. And I do think that the alternatives would be far, far worse. And it's not just that women would have back alley abortions. It's also that if women had to pay for their abortions, they would get them later, and it would be more trauma to everybody involved. So we're not going to go there.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about the Canadian military and its current role in the world and the equipment that's being ordered for it. And of course, that naturally brings up the F-35 jet project. Could we hear some thoughts on what should be happening with that, first from Adriana?
The F-35s are wrong. They're hugely expensive, and they're stealth fighters. We don't need stealth fighters. We need.
How do we know we don't need stealth fighters?
Well, I haven't figured out which country we're supposed to be attacking in surreptitiously.
But how do we know what's going? I'm not trying to be difficult. How do we know who? How do we know what condition the world's going to be in 10 years, for example?
We do know what we do need. If we need new planes, they're going to be planes that patrol our northern borders. That's what actually we really will need planes for. And those, because they're going into very, very harsh conditions, they need to be twin engine and they need to be secure. We don't need stealth fighters.
Okay.
This particular buy, I mean, in addition to being ridiculously expensive, in addition to not being adequately costed in the first place, it's just the wrong jet.
Okay. Andrew Lang, your thoughts on those jets?
Well, on the jets, again, we will need to replace our fleet. We have to. They're going to age in about 10 years.
With fighter jets?
We
We do need fighter jets?
F-18s, we need fighter. If we're going to have it, if we're going to have. Look,
Well, I mean,